Welcome back, folks, to hashtag AskGSM, the weekly Monday mailbag video where I answer your questions from Facebook and Twitter right here in this video form with edition number 31 here today. Without further ado, let's get started with the questions. First from Jared J. This one was a bit of a unique question. He posted this on my Facebook page a couple of days ago. It was a photo. His question was, what are your thoughts on this quote from Dean Ambrose? Now, it's a picture of Dean Ambrose, and this long quote, I'll read it for you now. It said, I own pro wrestling. And by the way, before I start, I don't know where the quote came from, or he said it in an interview, in a magazine, I'm not exactly sure, but this is apparently what Dean Ambrose said, and he wanted to get my thoughts on it. So, his quote was, I own pro wrestling. It's the only reason I'm still alive, and it pisses me off, and it makes me sick that everybody else thinks wrestling owes him something. All the time, me, I should be champion, I should be a featured performer, I shouldn't be paired with this guy on a team, I should get more mic time, I should get this, whatever. I love pro wrestling, and I owe pro wrestling. It doesn't owe me anything. Because it's given me the only thing that makes me happy, the only high in this world that makes it worth getting up out of bed every day, and when it hits my bloodstream, it flows through my veins, and explodes in my heart, and the warm feeling coming over my brain, and the whole world makes sense, and that's what I owe pro wrestling. An amazing quote. Like I said, don't know where it came from, but apparently spoken by Dean Ambrose. What are my thoughts on it? A tremendous quote. Obviously, it shows just how passionate Dean Ambrose is about pro wrestling. He was great on the indie circuit. It was awesome that he got signed by WWE. He had some great matches down in FCW. I didn't watch a lot of his work down there, but I did watch his match with William Regal right before FCW closed in early 2012. A tremendous match. Then, of course, as time went on, he wasn't even put on NXT when that was first revamped. But he was put in part of the Shield, has had a great run, and I think it was you, Jared, that asked me a couple of weeks ago why Dean Ambrose has yet to have his breakout moment. And right after you posted this quote, I don't know if it was, I think it was on Raw last week and on SmackDown this past week, that he cut two great promos. I don't know if it's because he's more motivated now, because they have a great feud with Seth Rollins going right now in The Authority. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe with Seth Rollins out of the picture, the more the spotlight is on Ambrose and Reigns together as opposed to all three of them. I'm not exactly sure. But Dean Ambrose last week had one of the best weeks in recent memory by cutting two great promos against Triple H and Rollins and having a great match against Bray Wyatt in the main event of SmackDown. I thought it was tremendous. I haven't really read any other positive feedback about it or any feedback at all. But I don't know if it was just me, but I thought that match with Bray Wyatt last week on SmackDown was great. If you don't watch SmackDown, go back and watch that match. I thought it was tremendous. But it really goes to show just how passionate Dean Ambrose is about wrestling. I think he's always been a natural heel, but right now he's been flourishing in the babyface role. All of the Shield has since they turned a couple of months ago. And I know Rollins is now healed since he broke off from them, but you get my point. I think he will be a world champion at some point. Dean Ambrose, I think he's underrated in the ring. He's not the best in-ring wrestler out of all members of the Shield, but he definitely is the best on the mic. He's very natural in the role, the Joker-like character. Big fan of Dean Ambrose, and yeah, this quote is tremendous. Just goes to show just how passionate he is about pro wrestling, and that's what a lot of people lack nowadays in the business. I'm not a wrestler, I can't tell you for sure, but it just seems like some people get into it because they just want the money, the fame, whatever the hell else. Dean Ambrose is in it because he loves it and always has. His next question is, do you think of any of the recently released superstars would benefit from going to New Japan Pro Wrestling as Luke Gallows, Vance Archer, and Dave Smith have? If so, who? Yes, of the 11 talents that have been released, and no, not JTG, I was thinking, obviously, Yoshitatsu. He was doing very well for himself over in Japan before he came over to WWE, was signed, was living out his dream, but WWE did next to nothing with Yoshitatsu. They completely mishandled him. He had a fine run on ECW as a, what do they call him, the Cardiac Kid or something dumb like that. But he had a lot of fun matches over on ECW. With Shelton Benjamin, Zack Ryder, William Regal, Christian. I think he contended for the ECW at one point, the ECW Championship at one point. But then they brought him to Raw and SmackDown and did nothing with him. They didn't even put him in a substantial tag team with anyone. I know he was teaming with Goldust for a while, but that went nowhere. And it was just really a waste. The guy's a great wrestler. And they just made him out to be a joke. It was kind of disappointing. But so yeah, now that Yoshitatsu's out of the company, I can definitely see him flourishing back in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Brodus Clay, I think he's headed over to Japan anyway for some dolphin protesting thing, which is great. I'm very happy for him that he's doing that. But and I don't think he's going over there to wrestle right now. But like Matthew Bloom, I think his name is, a.k.a. Tensai, a.k.a. A-Train, whatever you want to call him, Prince Albert, whatever. He flourished over in Japan when he left the WWE about a decade ago. Went over to Japan, got over as, I forgot what his name was, but he got over big over there as a monster heel, babyface, whatever it was. But he was one of Japan's biggest stars at the time. And what the fuck has he done since coming back to WWE? Maybe they wanted to bring him back in a veteran role. I know he's doing fine as an announcer right now, but they brought him back as Lord Tensei. That bombed, and his tag team with Brodus Clay was a waste of time. It was a comedy joke. They were a joke of a team, and they did next to nothing with them. So Brodus Clay, I think, could also fit very well in that role as well as a monster heel and finally be booked as the way that he should have been from the get-go. And he was in NXT, and when there was a little stint with Del Rio over on the SmackDown brand in early 2011. But after that, the whole Funkasaurus thing, it had potential, but they ruined that. His tag team with Tensai pissed me off because it was a waste of two very talented guys. And when he finally turned heel, I was raving about it on my show. Very happy for it. But then they fucking did nothing with him. They never utilized him at all on the show. Did some stuff down in NXT, and that was it. Kind of a waste of time. So Brodus Clay and Yoshitatsu are two guys that I think could flourish over in Japan now that they've been released in the WWE. Cody C., his question was, with half of the year being over, with what do you think has been some of your favorite moments and matches from this year in WWE? I listed a whole bunch of them, most of them being moments, but Daniel Bryan's title win in the main event of WrestleMania 30 I thought was a tremendous moment, one of the best WrestleMania moments in years. Great way to close out the show. Granted, the aftermath was not handled properly, and a lot of that is not Daniel Bryan's fault. His father passed away, he had to get neck surgery, the whole thing with Kane. A lot of bullshit happened during his title reign. Now he's been stripped of the title. So it was disappointing, but take that away. You leave alone the moment itself at WrestleMania. Great moment, great match, so definitely that. Ultimate Warrior being inducted in the Hall of Fame, for me personally, I know a lot of people may not say that, but with him being an ultimate inspiration of mine and one of my favorite wrestling legends in WWE history, Ultimate Warrior being inducted in the Hall of Fame was a great moment for me. Was very, very tremendously sad when he passed away, of course, a few days later. A lot of people were, of course. And when that video package aired for him, I legitimately cried, to be quite honest with you, when it aired on Raw the following week, that tribute to him. So I thought that was great. So that definitely. Undertaker streak ending, I don't know if you want to call it the best or one of my favorite moments, but it's one of those moments where you remember where you were when you saw it. I mean, I remember most things anyway, but I mean, just that alone, it was just crazy. Just someone came into my room, and an old wrestling friend, he was a friend of mine in my dorm, but he had not watched wrestling in a long time. He used to watch it with his dad, I guess. He stopped in and watched some parts of WrestleMania. He caught that matchup. And we both figured, I mean, Undertaker's fucking 21-0 at WrestleMania, and then he lost. It was the biggest shock in recent memory, and I just remember being speechless for the next 24 hours. It was absolutely surreal. So Undertaker's streak ending. Batista returning, I know a lot of people saw that as disappointment. I'm not going to go on a rant on that right now, but Batista coming back I thought was an awesome moment. He's one of my favorites as well, so that's probably just being biased on my part, but that was great. Evolution returning, reforming shortly after WrestleMania this year. I thought when themes hit, I marked the fuck out when a line in the sand hit. It was a great moment when they came back together, and they had a nice run. Everything that happened the day after WrestleMania on that Raw, everything on that show was fucking perfect. I can't mention a single thing that was gone wrong. But Paige's debut, I thought, was the highlight of the night for me personally when she came out and won the Divas Championship. Fantastic moment, very well booked. The aftermath, once again, with Daniel Bryan has not been handled properly. They haven't done really much with her since winning the championship. But the moment itself was awesome. And as far as favorite matches, I talked about this last week, like the best 5 matches of the year thus far. But the Bray Wyatt-Daniel Bryan matchup at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, the Shield versus the Wyatt family, Shield versus Evolution, a lot of Shield matches. The triple threat match at WrestleMania 30 in the main event, Triple H versus Daniel Bryan in the opening of WrestleMania 30. Oh, and also for favorite moments, too, the Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and Rock confrontation at the start of WrestleMania 30. Favorite moment by far of WrestleMania for me personally. But yeah, those are my favorite matches and moments of 2014 thus far. I look forward to what else will come and as the year progresses. Zach D, his question was, top 5 favorite NXT matches so far this year. So both of them, all 5 of my matches are from NXT Arrival and NXT TakeOver. NXT has been good. The episodes themselves have been good on the network in between TakeOver and Arrival, but there really haven't been any standout matches where I'm like, well, you should go out of your way to see this. Most of the best NXT matches have happened on these 2 specials. So from 5 to 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll go that way. Number 5, Tyson Kidd versus Adrian Neville from the most recent TakeOver. Actually, I might have enjoyed the rematch on NXT more. I don't know. Either one of those matches, fantastic match. I thought that was very good. Paige versus Emma for the NXT Women's Championship from Arrival. An excellent matchup, one of the best women's matches in years, and I'll get to that in a second. Sami Zayn versus Tyler Breeze from TakeOver, great match. Charlotte versus Natalya for the NXT Women's Championship, also one of the best women's matches in recent years. Fantastic moment with Charlotte winning the NXT Women's Championship with her father in her corner, Ric Flair. It's a great emotional moment for her and the entire NXT universe. And coming in at number 1 for me personally, Sami Zayn versus Cesaro. I thought that was such an awesome opener for Arrival. Kicked off the first live match on the WWE Network, might I add. So that was great. But yeah, such a great matchup from those two. We're looking forward to when they eventually face off on the main roster at some point. But yeah, those are my top 5 favorite NXT matches so far in 2014. Andre G, his question was, since you have been watching wrestling since 2008, what are your top 5 underrated matches? Very good question. There's probably a multitude of them that I can't name off the top of my head, but I was making a list last night and these top 5 came to mind. I tried to name one from each year. I mean, I know I've been watching since 08. There's been 6 or 7 years. I mean, 08, 09, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. So I can't do one from every year, but I did try to do one from different years. So top 5 underrated matches that you guys should go check out. For me personally, I mean, I really enjoyed these. Maybe you felt differently, but even still. John Cena versus Batista at SummerSlam 2008. A lot of people, they don't shit on that matchup, but I don't think it gets the credit it deserves. John Cena has been proven for years that he's a fucking great wrestler, so don't give me that bullshit that he can't wrestle. Batista, not the greatest in-ring technician. I think that's pretty well known, pretty well documented. But he's had some very good matches in his heyday, and that match was seen at SummerSlam. The meeting, the first ever one-on-one meeting between the two. It had very good build. I enjoyed that. That was right when I was getting into wrestling. And I went back and watched the matchup on Batista's DVD just recently. I thought it was a great matchup, very underrated in my opinion. Also, Punk versus Mysterio from the 2011 Capital Punishment pay-per-view 3 years ago this week. That show was complete shit. And maybe that match was just so much more enjoyable to me because the rest of the show was complete garbage. But obviously, it goes without saying, Punk and Mysterio have always had great chemistry with one another. But I don't know. I just found this matchup to be so goddamn good. And just especially the final few minutes. I've gone back and watched the finishing sequence so many times in the past. But and I have yet to go back and watch it on the network. I've seen it on YouTube like a million times. But yeah, Punk versus Mysterio from 2011 Capital Punishment. I talked about this before, but Orton versus Christian over the limit of that same year. I thought that was a great matchup. All of their matches were amazing. People point to their first match on SmackDown as their best. The SummerSlam matchup as their best, but when they were both faces over the limit, I thought that was a great matchup, one of my favorite matches of all time, in my opinion. I don't know if you would really call this underrated, but Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view from 2012 for the World Heavyweight Championship, 2 out of 3 count falls. I mean, that show was also so goddamn good. There was so much that show to rave about, from John Cena versus Brock Lesnar and Punk versus Jericho. I think this matchup didn't get the credit it deserved, and also a tremendous matchup that I rewatched on the Extreme Rules 2012 DVD a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, definitely go back and watch that one if you can. And coming in at number 5, these are ranked in no particular order, by the way. I just kind of ranked them randomly. But CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy from the 2009 SummerSlam pay-per-view. I thought they had a great matchup, a great feud in general. They had one of the best feuds in years over on the SmackDown brand in 2009. Right before Jeff Hardy left, a great way to close out his career in the WWE before jumping ship to TNA. That's another story for another day. But that matchup I thought was the best of them all. And Jeff Hardy's matches with Edge, especially the ladder match that year at Extreme Rules, there's so many matches I can name off, but those are the top 5 that came to my head. But yeah, Punk Mysterio, Orton Christian, Cena Batista, Bryan Sheamus, and Punk Hardy in the last 6 years that I've been a fan. Thomas B, his question was, will we ever see a Dolph Ziggler WWE World Heavyweight Championship reign? And I've talked about this before when the titles were first unified in late of last year, and I think in December of last year. I talked about this when it was first being discussed, but when there's only one world championship, it limits the amount of world title opportunities one will get. I kind of figured Daniel Bryan would win back the championship at one point, so I didn't include him in this category, but guys like Wade Barrett, Cody Rhodes, Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston. I don't think will ever be a world champion anyway. But when you only have one world championship, I know it means more because there's not two world championships. Having two world titles in one company didn't make sense to begin with. But when you have two brands, I understand that. But that's another topic for another day. But it limits the amount of opportunities that some superstars get, and they have to fight that much harder to get a shot at the world championship. So I don't know if guys like Barrett and Rhodes will ever be world champion. Dolph Ziggler stands out from the rest of them. I think he could be a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Do I think he will be? No. If his recent booking, and I mean it was a year ago today from when I filmed this, at Payback when he lost the World Championship to Dolph Ziggler, he hasn't been the fucking same since. I mean, I like the double turn that he did with Del Rio at Payback, and the aftermath was good. The crowd was rallying behind Dolph Ziggler. The crowd still fucking loves the guy. He still gets great reactions whenever he goes out there. But WWE has booked him in such shit fashion over the last year. They never put the world title back on him. They just put him in fucking random feuds with Damian Sandow and all these random jobbers, and it's been a waste. They've been wasting the guy ever since. And I don't know if they're going to keep him like that. Like Drew McIntyre recently got released. He was another guy that I'm thinking, okay, he's going to pay his dues in this shitty 3MB gimmick, and then he's going to break out on his own again, become the chosen one. Maybe not a world champion, but he probably should be pushed as a solid mid-carder, upper mid-carder, and he got released. So I don't know if the same thing's going to happen with Dolph Ziggler. I know I recently read not too long ago that he has about a year left on his contract, so maybe he departs after then. He splits the company. He's got better things to do anyway. I mean, he can go do his comedy thing. He's talented in a number of areas, so he can go do whatever he wants. But to be honest, no. I don't think WWE will ever put the world title back on Dolph Ziggler, which is a shame. I think he's capable. He has the potential to be a great world champion. But they've just booked him so badly over the last year that I just don't think they have any intention to push him anytime soon, which is unfortunate. Ross S., his question was, what is your all-star three-man commentary team taking the three best commentators in wrestling history, in my opinion? Gordon Solie, Jim Ross, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. You put those three guys on commentary together, you've got the best fucking commentary team ever. I mean, it could be one of the worst matches. It could be the Great Khali versus, I don't know, Santino or something. I don't know. Take the worst match of all time. You put those three guys on commentary, they'll make it out to be like the best match in the last 10 years. Because all three of those guys are highly regarded as three of the best wrestling commentators in history. So Gordon Solie, Jim Ross, and Bobby the Brain Heenan would be my three-man all-star commentary team. His next question was, with Sheamus as United States champion, do you think he's brought any credibility to the title? I'm not going to rant and rave that, yes, the title's extremely prestigious now. It's the best that it's ever been. I'm not going to say that, but it's been about a little over a month since he won the championship on the May 5th edition of Raw. And I do think he's helped boost the title, way more than Dean Ambrose did. I mean, I like Dean Ambrose as champion, but it goes back to the fact that he never fucking defended it. It was a waste. And they really never did anything with him as champion for him to elevate the title or for the title to elevate him. So it was a wasted opportunity. That being said, though, with Sheamus taking over as champion, he's had a few good title defenses against against Cesaro at Payback, which is a great match, against Dean Ambrose that Friday night on SmackDown. He's had a number of good matches. He has yet to fall into the curse of losing non-title matches. I'm hoping Bad News Barrett doesn't fall in that category as Intercontinental Champion, but Sheamus for right now is doing very well as United States Champion. It has more prestige than it did before, and has brought some credibility back to the United States Championship. It's only a month. It's only been 1 month, so it's really too soon to tell. But for right now, in the short term, I would say that yes, he has brought credibility back to the title. Being a former a three-time world champion definitely brings some importance back to the Star Spangled Prize. Now on to the Twitter questions. At RKO_lover_forever, her question was, what in your opinion is the stupidest and or weirdest stage name you've ever heard of? For the longest time, and I mean I tell people who aren't fans this, that we at one point had a world champion named Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler, I was just talking about this 1 minute ago. One of the best in-ring athletes, performers that WWE has at their disposal right now, at their disposal, but it has one of the worst in-ring names I've ever heard of in my fucking life. There was some guy in NXT, something Sawyer or something fucking weird. I don't know what it was, but he was in a tag team match against Jason Jordan and, Ty Dillinger. And he had a really weird name, and William Regal just wouldn't stop saying it. It was hilarious, but yeah, that guy. But Dolph Ziggler, I think, is definitely number one on one of the worst in-ring names of all time. Like Adolf Hitler, Adolf Ziggler. There's so many jokes that could be made. There's Ziggler. What kind of fucking name is that? At this point, being in the company for 6 years, you don't really think about that. Dolph Ziggler, we've been, grown accustomed to his name for so long that, you don't really think about how dumb it sounds. But you're in the shoes of a non-wrestling fan, and you're thinking, like, what the fuck is this? Like, what kind of name is Dolph Ziggler? You know what I mean? And I think Mick Foley was talking about at some point and how he pitched an idea to WWE Creative that Ziggler could be repackaged and get his name changed. But they never went through with that, of course. Mick Foley's a genius in that regard, but they never went through with it, which is a shame. And I think it's too late now to change his name. Michael McGillicuddy was another fucking awful name. That was terrible. And people still don't like Curtis Axel. Just go by his real name, Joe Hennig. But I think Curtis Axel's a really good name. Yes, he should go by his real name, Joe Hennig. But it's miles better. It's better by a country mile than Michael McGillicuddy, by far. So Michael McGillicuddy, Dolph Ziggler are two of the worst in-ring names I've ever heard in my life. At Raw is Gibby. His question was, should there be a second Money in the Bank ladder match just for the briefcase? Very hot topic right now. I personally think there should be. By the time some of you watch this, either whether it be after Raw or later on in the week, maybe it was already announced. We've got a little less than 2 weeks away until the pay-per-view. Maybe it's already been announced. I'm not sure. But as of right now, as of this filming, we only have one Money in the Bank ladder match. You can't really even call it a Money in the Bank ladder match. It's a 7-man ladder match for the WWE World Heavyweight title. And yes, I do think we should have a second one just for the briefcase and to get cash in that briefcase for a shot at the World Championship at any time. As of right now, it really looks like they're starting to stack in the World title matchup with all the top stars, with Randy Orton, Cesaro, who else? Bray Wyatt, Sheamus, so many others. Who else? So we got Sheamus, Cesaro, Orton, Bray Wyatt. Who was the other guy that qualified? Del Rio. He's not really a top star, but he's a former world champion, so take that for what it is. And then for the second one, they should put in guys like Bad News Barrett, Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes. Goldust isn't really a rising star, but you can further the story between him and Cody in the match if they were to both enter. But anyway, Damian Sandow is another guy that comes to mind who's being wasted at the moment. That goes without saying. But absolutely, I do think there should be a second match just for the briefcase. It should add, it could add to the card. I don't know how many people they'll have left. You take 14 of your biggest guys and put them in 2 matches. And I know you can make the same argument. Well, they've been doing that for years. They've been doing that since 2010. But in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, they also had 2 world title matches. So if you put the title on the line in one of those ladder matches and you don't have another world championship and you put all of your top stars in one match, then what happens to the rest of the card? So we'll have to wait and see. But yes, I do think there should be a second ladder match just for the briefcase. At Danny Reynoso 11, his question was, do you think that John Cena would have made it during the Attitude Era? Very good question, a very popular question. I know I've heard this being talked about before. Personally, I don't think so. John Cena's current gimmick, you put that in the Attitude Era, would have never fucking survived. Completely different atmosphere, completely different time. Not even just in wrestling, just the time. The 90s, the late 90s were way different from when they are now, from the mid-2000s. You take 99 to 2014, there's no fucking comparison. I'm not going to say which is better. The Attitude Era is obviously better, but you get my point. But it was a different time in the world. John Cena would not have lasted 2 seconds with his poopy jokes, and with Stone Cold there and The Rock. People say the same thing about CM Punk. Would he have survived? Would this guy survived? I don't know. But John Cena specifically, in his current incarnation, would have not survived at all. He could have been a mid-card guy at best. Prove me wrong. We'll never know, of course. It's impossible to tell unless you get a DeLorean, go back 15 years, rev up that DeLorean 88 miles an hour, and we'll find out for ourselves. But since it's not possible, we'll never know. But personally, I don't think Cena would have survived during the Attitude Era. At the Innovator, his question was, what wrestling themes would you like to see recycled, and who would you give them to? Good question. I was actually just thinking about this the other day. Drew McIntyre, who was recently released, who had one of the best theme songs in years, was only had it for like a year or two before he underwent the whole 3MB bullshit. But that aside, reuse his theme song. Maybe it might bring back memories of McIntyre, because he had it for about 2 years. I know some people have their themes recycled and they had it for only like a day or two. Like Lance Cade, he had his theme for like a month or two before he got released, and then they put it on Jack Swagger a couple months later. So that being said, McIntyre's theme song should definitely be reused for somebody. I put Brodus Clay's down, not the Funkasaurus one. I've grown tiresome of that. I mean, they put it on Woods and they put it on Naomi and Cameron. Just let it go already. Just let it fucking go. But his heel one, not the one that he just recently had, but his first one. It might have been the theme for some show, like Afterburn or something like that. I don't watch the show, so I have no idea. But I heard it was the theme. It was the theme for one of WWE's talk shows or whatever that they do on, I don't know, something like the pay-per-views or whatever. I'm not really sure. But that theme song was great. Rev It Up or Ramp It Up or whatever it was called. And one that I've been petitioning for about 2 years now. It's not likely. It's never going to happen. I'm not saying it should happen, but it would be awesome. Punk's theme, This Fire Burns, which was recycled, ironically enough, from Randy Orton to CM Punk. Orton only used it for a night. Punk used it for fucking 5 years. So it's going to be really hard to reuse that theme song again, especially if CM Punk isn't in the company. And, I mean, it just brings back a lot of memories of CM Punk. But that being said, though, I always thought for the last 2 years, there's a certain Titantron on YouTube that if you mix it in with you play the song at the same time the video starts, it fits perfectly. Seth Rollins, I mean, right now he's a shitty-ass heel theme song, some generic bullshit. But you put that theme on him, it fits perfectly. And I've been saying for years that Seth Rollins is like the second coming of CM Punk. He's not a lot like CM Punk, but his old look with CM Punk's old look and all that kind of stuff, it just reminded me a lot of the old school CM Punk. And he's not going to be the next CM Punk. He's going to be the first Seth Rollins. But you know what I mean, though. So if you put that theme on him, it would fit perfectly. Not saying it's going to happen, nor should it happen, but it would be awesome and it would fit perfectly for him. At Toasty Cub, his question was, do you think the Stephanie McMahon controversy is the reason why Macho Man isn't in the Hall of Fame? Whether, I think there was a rumor going around for years upon years as to whether Stephanie slept with Macho Man or Macho Man slept with her, vice versa, whatever. And that caused a lot of heat on Macho Man. I don't think that was the sole reason or is the sole reason why Macho Man isn't in the Hall of Fame. I think there was just a lot of bad blood between WWE and Macho Man in general. I can't tell you I just have a lack of knowledge on the subject, but based off what I've read and heard, I don't think that was the sole reason why he wasn't or isn't in the WWE Hall of Fame at the moment. But and I think he will be inducted maybe by next year. I think WWE buried the hatchet with the Poffo family. I know Lanny Poffo was invited to WrestleMania by the WWE, and they talked him over. They talked some things over. He's been on the network a few times too, for their faction DVDs and for the Countdown show and stuff like that. So yeah, I think he will be inducted maybe either next year. I think as soon as next year would be awesome. But no, I don't think that was the sole reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame. It could play a part, but I think just in general, there's been a lot of bad blood between the WWE and the Poffo family, so that's why they're not in the Hall of Fame. And they did reach out the olive branch a number of times in 2012, WWE did, saying, can we induct him into the Hall of Fame? And they said no. And I don't blame them, because based off on what Lanny said, you could take it with a grain of salt as to whether it's true or not, that Macho Man wanted the whole family to be inducted, that they never said sorry for Macho Man's father passing away. WWE never offered their condolences, and they never offered their condolences to the Poffo family for when Randy passed away. I personally don't believe that. I mean, it's what he says, and I don't think WWE would not say sorry for your loss after one of their biggest stars has passed away. I mean, I don't know. It's up to you for what you believe, but I do think he will be inducted before long is what the bottom line is. At the Justin Godsey, his question was, if you could bring back one title, which belt would it be? What title would you bring back? And who would you place it on currently? I'm on the philosophy that we don't need more championship belts. If anything, we need less, like one mid-card title belt. They're both doing well right now, like with the IC and US. They're both doing fine with Sheamus and Bad News Barrett, respectively. But as a whole, though, with the roster being as thin as it is right now, and with such lack of depth in the roster at the moment, you don't need more championships. You could put a title on fucking everyone on the roster. It's not going to mean anything, but you can if you want to. You know what I mean? Like, the more titles, cool, you have a championship, but if it doesn't mean anything, it's pointless. It's a waste of time. So, that being said, though, I don't think we need to add any championships, and your second question kind of got into this. A Cruiserweight championship for the Cruiserweight division, a Cruiserweight show, a question I've been asked you on the show here before. But absolutely, a Cruiserweight division, a Cruiserweight title being brought back, I think would be my number one championship to bring back. The Women's Championship, that's never going to happen. They have this fetish with the Divas title, so they're not going to do that. There's the old tag team titles, the fucking pennies that look ridiculous. You can bring back the old tag team titles if you wanted to. But the European Championship for years, for like the last 2 years, I've been saying this, and a lot of people have. I'm not the only one. But when Cesaro won the U.S. Championship, a lot of people thought that he should transition that title into the European Championship, which would be awesome. The European title hasn't been seen in like well over 10 years or something along those lines. But it would be cool though. And if Cesaro does ever capture the U.S. title or IC Championship, and he has contended for both titles in the last number of weeks, and he did just recently beat Sheamus again in another non-title match, so he could win the belt, the U.S. Championship back at some point in the near future. I don't know. But it would be cool for someone like him or Bad News Barrett even. I don't think you need to get rid of the IC title because it's so prestigious. Throwing that away in favor of the European would make no sense. It would be a big disgrace to the IC title. The U.S. title, I love the U.S. Championship. I love its design. I love its history. But it's been neglected for so long that it means nothing. So there's really no point in keeping it around. I mean, like I said before with the previous question, I think Sheamus has done a good job of instilling prestige back in the belt. But if it's not going to mean anything, there's no point in having it around. So if he was to get rid of that and bring back the European title, I mean, both him and Barrett are both European, as is Cesaro. So any one of these three could do it if they wanted to. And there's a whole list of superstars in the roster that are European that could do it too. But yeah, the European Championship or the Cruiserweight title would be my number 1 and 2 championships to bring back if I had the opportunity. His second question kind of ties into that same question. TNA has been notorious for copying WWE. Do you think the WWE should bring back the Cruiserweight / light heavyweight division? By that, I think he means that WWE would be copying TNA and bringing in something similar to the X division. Now, here's the thing. The X division has been, it's been unique to them since the start of their company, 12 years ago. But it's been neglected for so many years that I don't give two shits anymore. I mean, as they filmed this, last night was Slammiversary. The title match kicked off the show. Fun match and all. I just don't fucking care. It's not even Sonata's fault. I mean, they haven't done anything with Sonata. Manic just recently returned to TV. And this isn't a rant on TNA, but they just haven't done anything with their X division in just so many years. And they're like, oh, we're going to finally push the X division for what, 2 or 3 months in the summer? And then it goes back to being irrelevant. It's like a waste of time. It's a repeating cycle of TNA in their X division. And it pisses me off because there's so much talent in the X division, but they never do anything with these guys. It's asinine. But anyway. And I've said this I've said this here on the show before a number of times, but yes, bringing back the Cruiserweight division would be pretty cool. I don't know how likely it is now. Evan Bourne got released, Yoshitatsu, JTG, I don't even know if you would have put him in there anyway. But those are my 2 guys, Bourne and Tatsu, I would have put in there, and now they're gone. So I don't know if you could do it anyway, but I've said this before, put it as a network exclusive show. I don't think they would devote any time on Raw for the Cruiserweight division, but making their own show on the network would be pretty cool. So absolutely, I do think they should bring back the Cruiserweight division. Now it's a little less likely with Bourne and Tatsu gone, but it still could work. And as long as WWE tries to make it their own, I mean, not similar to the X division. The X division is TNA's thing, and it's not even that special as it once was, because like I said, TNA hasn't booked the X division talent properly in years. But anyway, though, yeah, WWE should definitely bring back their Cruiserweight division. It would be cool. Bring back the title for those guys. Give them something to do. Then you don't have to release all these people like Evan Bourne, Yoshitatsu. If they're not going to be mid-carders, put them in the Cruiserweight division so we get some fun matches on the network. Or, like I said before, they're not going to devote any time on Raw or SmackDown to these guys, so just on the network would be pretty cool. But, yeah, give them the Cruiserweight Championship, let them run with it, make it their own, and have some fun matches on the network. So, final question comes from @Ambrose311. His question was, how do you manage to sit through 2 hours of TNA when I end up turning it off within 15 minutes? And I'm not going to say this as an excuse. It's not the sole reason why I watch. But I have to write a review for it every week on my website. And I'm not saying that, I have to watch it because I have to write the review. And I do have to watch it to write the review for different websites. For my website, for another website, Kayfabe Kickout. But, and I like to be aware of what's going on. But to be honest with you, I might have given up on the product a few months ago had I not had to review it. Because everyone's fucking leaving. My favorite guy, AJ Styles, left. Bad Influence is gone. Chris Sabin, I mean, never a huge fan of him to begin with, but the fact that he left randomly was really odd, and I was mad that he got released or got let go or whatever. They granted his release. There's so many guys, I mean, like, why even bother watching? I mean, Bobby Roode's still around, but they haven't utilized him well in a long time. Austin Aries, they finally gave him a world title shot after a fucking year and a half at Slammiversary this past week, but they could be doing more with him, with Samoa Joe. And Magnus I like, and I watch for him, but And Anderson is being booked shitty, and James Storm is being booked better than he was a few months ago, and he's flourishing as a heel. But I'm just finding fewer and fewer reasons to watch TNA. And if it's not your cup of tea, don't watch. I mean, I don't blame you. And I don't watch just to make fun of it. Some people do that. And then to each his own. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm not saying, oh, don't watch it if you're just going to make fun of it. I don't really fucking care. I'm not a TNA diehard fan. I make fun of it all the time. So if other people make fun of it, I'm not going to get mad at you. But you're just wasting your time. If you're not going to enjoy it, then don't watch it. Right now, I'm just kind of watching for my favorites. But as they start to dwindle away and we get people like Bobby Lashley at the start of the card, and nothing against Bobby Lashley, and even MVP, I like MVP, but the way he's being booked as a heel authority figure, give me a break. I don't want to see that shit. EC3 is good, but he just isn't really doing anything for me personally. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But yeah, I have to review the show, so that's one major reason why I still watch. But I just kind of watch for specific superstars like Magnus, like Bobby Roode, James Storm, Anderson. I like those guys, Austin Aries. Jeff Hardy's another guy I'm a fan of, but the fucking Willow thing, what a joke. What a joke that is. And I don't even want to go on a rant on that. And I don't blame you for turning it off within 50 minutes. The product has been so damn bad right now in the last few months that I don't blame you at all. Slammiversary was good, but it's all about the aftermath. If they can't follow it up correctly, then they're just going to go back to square one. But Slammiversary was good. I have a hope that they're going to start doing some good things going into the summer of 2014. But like I said, only one can hope. So that's going to do it for this week's hashtag AskGSM video. If you want to send in a question, make sure to tweet me on Twitter with the hashtag AskGSM at RussellRant, or like my official Facebook page at GrahamGSMMatthews. Leave a comment on the wall. Or you can even leave a comment down below in the comment section. It will be featured in next week's video. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. All support is greatly appreciated. This is Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch you guys next week.